So, on today, Donald Trump is going to jail. That's what it said. That's what the news is. Donald Trump is going to jail. He's going to be turning himself in and surrendering and going to jail for a crime that includes Stormy Daniels. Do you guys remember the whole Stormy Daniels situations, the cover up and everything? Okay, yeah. That's what that's about. Now, let's talk about accountability. Let's talk about what we know, right? All right, so as American people, let's get to accountability because it's important that we have some level of accountability. And Donald Trump definitely needs to be held accountable as well. Don't get me wrong. But I want you to understand exactly where I'm coming from when I talk about accountability, first things first. Now, when you talk about accountability, you have the, I call white privilege displaying itself on January 6th, but the Democrats called an insurrection and Donald Trump called American Taking Back America. I think it's all the same thing. I think three different people can look out the window, look at the same car, and have different descriptions or different concepts of it. Just like Bill Clinton said, it all depends on what your definition of is, right? But let's stick to accountability. What do we know? We know in 2014, Barack Obama, then United States President Barack Obama, had already made plans for this previous pandemic. Now, there's already briefings where he says in 5 years from now, when a version of the influenza flu virus, they've made preparations for it. They've already invested into it. So when you see these pandemic drugs come out or these vaccines and Pfizer and Moderna getting all this money, they already made preparation for it. When you hear about Bill Gates being the person who has some links to the start of the virus in some ways based on him funding Dr. Fauci being his right-hand man. I'm not saying nothing, I'm just saying. But now, Bill Gates also believes there will be a second pandemic, as he calls it, Pandemic 2. So Bill Gates is letting us know that there's going to be a Pandemic 2. Obama made preparations for this pandemic 5 years prior based on them having understanding that this would happen. So that's getting into it. Now let's get a little bit further. We know Joe Biden also said in his press conferences that there's going to be another pandemic, guys. There's going to be another pandemic. Now, what am I talking about? Accountability. Now, let's look back at accountability. All right, let's take Donald Trump again, going back to jail. Let's stick to presidents, okay? So, we're talking about, high-level topic here. So, just going on accountability as far as the like thereof and the contradiction in the conversation. But let's stick to the facts. Now, Donald Trump and, Stormy Daniels. Now, accountability. But I'm just drawing a contrast with accountability as it relates to issues. Because I remember when Hillary Clinton was the leading Democratic candidate for the United States presidency, and she was going through those situations where her email server somehow got damaged and destroyed. Now, former First Lady, head of Senate, First Lady twice, served in the White House under Obama, and you did not know that you could not destroy federal government property, especially government property that would involve information leading to a cover-up like, I don't know, Benghazi or early Crimea. I'm not saying nothing, I'm just saying. I'm just asking the question. Now, here we have, now what happened there, she was said to be prosecuted or to be looked into, and her husband, Bill, just happened to just go on a private jet in a hangar and just have a conversation about grandbabies, and all of a sudden, the prosecution overturned. And what was the lady's justification? She says, well, there's no way you could put, a United States president or a person in that realm up for trial, a person running for office up for trial. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump is the leading Republican candidate right now in America for this next election, and Donald Trump is leading in that realm. Not only is he publicly put his hat in the race, but he's leading that race right now. But here you have him not going to jail for something he did as president, but something he did as a citizen. Okay? Citizens are presidents too. Nobody's above it. But let's talk about accountability, because Donald Trump should be held accountable. Keep in mind, Donald Trump came on national television, guys, and said, the system is rigged. That's what Donald Trump said. He came on national television in his election and said, the system is rigged. They asked him, how do you know the system is rigged? And Donald Trump said it, because I use it. That's how I know it's rigged. Now, when you have a white man who's made billions of dollars off this system and pays zero fucking taxes, saying the system is rigged. We got teachers paying thousands of dollars in taxes, but the wealthy, rich billionaires don't pay any money in taxes. And he's letting us know the system is rigged and it's a trick being played on the American people. Now, we learn about what they call fractional reserve banking. And what that is, Joe Biden decides, okay, accountability again. No, banks are no longer allowed to keep your money in the bank. They can lend out and give away 90% of your money and only keep 10%. So you put $1,000 in your bank account thinking, okay, my $1,000 is going to be there, but the bank take that $1,000, lend 900 of it out and only got 100 in there, but now you go back for your $1,000 and you can't get it. And you're like, yo, where my money at? And they're like, we ain't got it. What do you mean you ain't got it? I just put it in here. And they said, what had happened was we had to lend it out. And you're like, well, I don't give a fuck what you lend it to. I need my money now because I got to do something. Hence what happened in Silicon Valley Bank. Hence what happened with the Swiss. Hence what happened or what's happening in the financial infrastructure right now. But again, they can always print more money, right? Inflation. We're talking about accountability, guys. We're talking about accountability here, but stick with me. I want to get to a larger point so you understand when I'm talking about accountability and the distractions from thereof. Because when there's a distraction to accountability, American people is left with a puppet show. And we can either go through another puppet show or we can try to resolve the issues at hand. So let's talk about accountability. Now, fractional reserve banking is what we're experiencing, where you now have banks going out of money and banks going belly up. Didn't we see the banks going belly up before? Oh yeah, that happened with the mortgage crisis in 2008. And just so happened, we got the mortgage crisis going on at the same time. So because of inflation, we got a mortgage crisis and people are losing their homes, people are losing their jobs, inflation is high as hell, interest rates are through the roof, and of course, thank you, Joe Biden. That's all I can say. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying. But let's keep it on accountability. We've given over $40 billion to Ukraine and over hundreds of billions of dollars of military aid. Military industrial complex, weaponry, warfare, resources, tools, and measures. Now, what's so interesting about this entire dynamic and this entire equation to me is you have Ukraine all the way over there. You got Russia that's next to them. Who's around Ukraine? You got Europe, you got Turkey, you got Germany, you got Switzerland, you got Finland, you got all of the European countries. So you got all of them big boys over there, and you tell me they can't do nothing for Ukraine? Oh, America has to spend American tax dollars and send it all the way over there because Putin, don't get me started on Putin's price hike. Because American oil companies, BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, you know, remember the BP oil spill off of Florida's coast, right? Those are American oil companies. They're the largest producers of oil and natural gas in the world. And Joe Biden came on national television and told us, due to Putin's price hike, we're feeling it at the pumps. And we believe that shit. Facts. So I'm asking about accountability. See, for me, accountability goes even before that. Because when America was in a dark place, we heard, yes, we can. And we believed that we could. We heard, can we fix it? Yes, we can. Now, we completely forgot that we heard that as a child from Bob the Builder. Remember? Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can! Okay, so now we have Barack Obama, like Bob the Builder, Barack Obama, Bob the Builder, Barack Obama, Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Yes we can. We heard that speech and we believed that speech. And we heard about the equality that we all wanted as African American people, or we felt that we needed. The first legislative legal action that he pushed was gay marriage, and his staple is, we know, Obamacare. But the misconstrued accountability that I want to point out is the fact that most of the artists that celebrated Barack Obama understand and saw that the black lives started to get murdered by officers in the streets under Obama's administration. And Obama is the one that promised us equality, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump said drain the swamp. Donald Trump said the system is rigged. Obama said yes we can. But we did not, did we? We fell asleep. And we listened to Obama, and now here we are after him making plans for this pandemic in 2014. Here we are living in this pandemic in 2023. Because he did say 5 to 10 years later, and 2014 to 2023 is about 9 years, right around the time he predicted this shit was going to happen. Now, it's no coincidence that during the entire pandemic, Dr. Fauci was the voice of the pandemic. Dr. Fauci was on TV every day giving us the pandemic update, telling us what we can and can't do, telling us where we can't go, and he completely lied under oath to the United States government when being asked questions directly by Senator Rand Paul, about his involvement or the research or funding of gain-of-function research. But then his own testimony in his own videos that he's posted shares his all outstanding enthusiasm for funding gain-of-function research once he found out this virus was found and where the virus was found. Now, how can you tell the American people you didn't know more than you know? Think about how censorship happened when the coronavirus thing happened. The complete thought of natural immunity, meaning you are exposed to it so your body develops the immunity to fight it off, that completely went out the world. So around the world was stopped, and Dr. Fauci was the mouthpiece, but he should not be held accountable for anything, right? But Donald Trump should be held accountable for a porn star. I'm not saying nothing, y'all. I'm just saying I can't make this up, y'all. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying. We're trying to hold Donald Trump accountable for a porn star. Now, this is a man had a situation with a porn star. A lot of dudes out there got a chick on the side, so I'm not going to say nothing about it. I ain't going to lie, I've been there. It's a porn star. How many dudes watch porn? Think of the stars? Go figure. He's just able to live his dream. Now, he's going to jail for a situation with a porn star and supposedly campaign funding based on his attorney, right? But deleting and destroying an entire email server after serving in the White House as First Lady and Hannah Senate and in the White House under Obama after a disaster of Benghazi is nothing. We should just completely, there's no accountability to be had. Okay, so we said, yes, we can, and we all believe Bob the Builder, can we fix it? But then at the end of the day, we turned around and we blamed Donald Trump for Black Lives Matters. And we marched against Donald Trump when Donald Trump was trying to show us that the system is rigged. Do you see how stupid they've made us? Do you see how stupid we've become? Do you realize that's the reason why they've continued to do the shit that they're doing? Because we just eat that shit up like fucking gullible motherfuckers that don't have any fucking brain at all. There's a saying in the movie Swordfish, where the ears hear and the eyes see, the mind believes. Misdirection, Stan. Misdirection. That's exactly what I think about when I think about this entire United States economy. Misdirection. They have us focused on Ukraine while raising up the interest rates, killing us with inflation, bleeding out all of our savings as Americans while now increasing the age rate. But if you look at America, because we still have our meager jobs and we can go to Walmart, we're not paying attention to there's wars and riots going on right now in France. We're not paying attention to all the African countries that's going up in riots right now. We're not paying attention to what's going on in the UK. We're not paying attention to all that because it's not in our backyard. We're not seeing it at all. We don't care about it. And that's really it. These things that are affecting us, we don't care about. So just like what's happening with our money, we live in a world that's governed by laws that are required. Money has laws that govern it, but we don't know the laws that govern the money that we have to partake in, and that's the situation. So I want to introduce you guys all to something called capital reserves. So there's fractional reserves in your bank where you can put your money in Like, so you put $5 in, the bank lend out $4, and you got, all right, you put $5 in, the bank lends out $4, and you got $1 left. Fractional reserve banking. We're going to say it again. You put $5 in the bank is able to lend out 90%, so you got $1 and change left. That's fractional reserve lending. That's what it is. And that's what we're getting right now with the financial institutions. This is exactly what we're seeing happening right now, where there's only a tenth of the money that you put in, and only a tenth, one single tenth of the money that you put in. So you put in the whole 5,000 and you only have 1,000 access to. That's what I'm talking about. Fractional reserve lending. So just consider this the U.S. bank. That's what this is, the U.S. bank. This is the U.S. banking system right here. And this is your money. And you put your money in the bank, and then all you have left after you do that is 1/10 of the money that's left, because they give out the other. Now, let's look at capital reserve. Now, capital reserve is this. You put in $1, and out of the one that you put in, 3 more goes to back it up. What? So, let's look at this. So, in one situation, you put $5 in the bank, and the bank is able to give out $4 and leave you with $1. In the other case, for every $1 that you put in, $3 have to be put in to back it up to make sure that your money is secure. Which would be better for your money? What would be a better place for you to put your money as an American right now? Do you want to continue to put your money or look into resources as relates to the U.S. bank laws? Because regardless of what bank it is, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, First Third National, Washington Mutual, it doesn't matter. Well, Washington Mutual don't even exist anymore. I remember when they went out of business because of the same kind of thing. But anyway, it doesn't matter what bank you use, they all use fractional reserve lending. So if every $5 you put $1,000 in, they give away $900 and only leave $100. So you only have $100 left out of the $900 that you put in. On the other hand, you put in $100, and to back that $100, you have $300 now invested to double it down. That's what's called capital reserve. Now, capital reserve is only available via Index Universal Life Insurance policies, okay? I want you to understand that. Index Universal Life Insurance policies. You can go to any bank to put in $1,000, and they'll take $900 away right away and give it away to somebody else, because fractional reserve banking is their law. That's what they govern by. That's what they do. You don't care about what you think. You don't care about how you feel about your money. That's what they do. You can rely on the FDIC to get your money back if anything happens, but it's okay. If you want to do that, that's fine. But just know that you put $1,000 in, and you only have $900, and $100 is left for you. On the other hand, you use the insurance policy, a life insurance policy, an Index Universal Life Insurance policy that guarantees cash value. You're talking about you put $100 in, and there's a 3 going in to back it up for you. Now, these policies are typically, or these accounts are typically set up for long-term expenses, for long-term projects and so forth, and also can be applied to life expenses. The issue that I want you to understand, or the situation or the conversation I want to have with you, is for you to understand there are ways for you as Americans to be able to utilize using the money to take accountability for your money. Because they might be going after Donald Trump for a porn star situation. They're not going after Obama for what happened in the Black Lives Matter. We totally forgot about that. We're not going after Joe Biden and his son and what's going on with everything that's happening with Ukraine. We're not going after Anthony Fauci with everything that we went through with the pandemic and all the lies and the misdirection and the information and the censorship that took place there. But we are trying to go after Donald Trump because of a porn star and him being an imperfect man. Now, him having a porn habit didn't cost Americans' lives. Him having a porn habit didn't mislead American people. Him having a porn habit of wanting to be a porn star is just him being a man with character flaws, and maybe he wanted to bang a porn star. That's different from somebody misleading the American people, funding the research, and then dictating how we would move forward and how we live our lives. That's different from a person in leadership making sure that the financial currency is now broken into the system, where he's now giving away more money than we actually have to increase our debt from 20 trillion when Trump was in office to now 32, approaching 33 trillion dollars. That's how much debt we are in now in just that short amount of time. So we were about $20 trillion in debt when Trump was in office and running for office. And now since Joe Biden has been in office, we're now 32 going on $33 trillion in debt. I ain't got to say nothing. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying that's my time. You know who it is, Jason Miller. Roll the one and check that spelling. I'm out of here. I got some accountability to do, y'all, because guess what? I got some families to help because I got some people hit me up because they wanted to know how they can then stop putting their $500 in the bank and only having $100 to have access to at the end of the day. And they wanted to be able to how they can invest that $100 at a monthly time or whatever that is that they have for themselves to be saved up. Some have 100, some have 100,000. A client just called me yesterday. They got $250,000 in the bank, or had $250,000 in their 401k. Now they're $250,000 up to more like 190. So they're now trying to figure out what they can do with that. But that's life. You might have a nest egg saved. You might have been one of the people who were perfectly fine before in your life because life is good. And now you're in a situation where what's going on? Your bonds are now crap because the government bonds are going to shit. Your stocks are shit because the market is failing. Your accounts are dried up because inflation is now eating at all of your money, and the interest rates is making it impossible for you to get anything out of your freaking savings and anything out of your investments. What do you do if you're one of the old guys? What do you do if you won't set up a new own system? You got to find a new way in a new system. What am I talking about? Index Universal Life. Contact the number right here. Give them a call. Find out what they can offer you. If you are over the age of 20, life insurance is actually cheaper for you and safer for you and easier to get at a lower rate, and you can actually lock those rates in when you're younger. So can you imagine you being young now can get a $10 million policy for your family, protect your family, start a trust, and set your family up for financial freedom and a legacy before you're 25. Even if you're 23. Set your family up to be a multi-millionaire by the time you're 33. What if you are already 33? What if you're not even in your 30s? Maybe you just got to your 30s, you're trying to find out what should I do right now? What can I do? How can I change my life with the world changing right now? What can I do to make a difference? Give the number a call. Join the team. Trust me, the financial services industry has made more millionaires than any other industry in the world. Everything that is backed by money requires insurance. And insurance policies don't use fractional reserve banking. They use capital reserves. So if you want to keep that capital and you want to reserve your capital, let me teach you about capital reserves. Talk to y'all.